Okay? If I was playing solo piano, I wouldn't do that at all. I would do something completely different. I'd probably play. Right? Completely different styles. Now, the same thing holds true.
You know, when you're learning voicings and trying to comp for vocalists and instrumentalists, it seems like the voicing game can go on and on and on forever and ever and ever. You're never going to learn all the voicings you need to comp effectively. Well, in reality, you really don't need that many voicings, and you really don't need to learn that much. It's one of the easiest skills to learn really, really fast in jazz piano. In this particular podcast lesson, this is going to be a live stream I did, and I'm going to be going over the different registers of the piano, what voicings you need to play, what setups, and what you need to practice to accompany vocalists, instrumentalists effectively, and even yourself when playing solo piano. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. Don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com and check out all the other free education available. And if you're interested in taking some next steps, we do have a membership, courses, and even live programs available there as well. With that being said, let's dive right in.
All right. We are live. Hopefully this is working. Thanks so much. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. Thanks for being here. I apologize for my voice because I'm getting over a cold recently, and it's going to be pretty prevalent picked up in my mic. So I do apologize about that. Again, I'm just going to make sure this is working, testing my equipment here. And we'll see. I'm not getting a stream yet, but could be. Oh, there we go. All right. Great. Wow, it was a big delay. Okay. All right, I'm glad we're going well. We're going strong. And we are live. You guys can hear me okay? Fantastic. Really looking forward to my new equipment when I get it, because hopefully it should cut down on the delay, I think. But that'll be kind of November when Apple releases some new stuff. But just want to say hi to some people. Got a lot of people here that I know personally. That's awesome. Hey, Scott. Hey, John. Good evening. From London. Franco. Hey, Franco. Fabrizio. Yes, 2 Italians. That's awesome. Alan's here. Good to hear from you, Alan. That's awesome. Tuning in. Keeping up with the studies. Fantastic. Dawn, awesome. Dawn's here. Scott, perfect. Susanna, Mike, cool. All right. If I missed, I don't know, Gerligde, but I'm gonna answer their question. They had a really good question there, so that's gonna be fun. Lars, hey, good to see you, Lars from Norway. My wife and I are looking to come up to Norway actually in the winter time to do some dog sledding. So if you have any tips, let me know. Gail, hey Gail. All right, so let me get started here. This is probably going to be on the, shorter than usual. Voicings and comping are deep subjects. Don't get me wrong, but they're a little bit more simple. Voicings, it's funny. Viewerson, New Delhi, India. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Safara from Washington. Cool. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Voicings in general kind of have a stigma. I don't really know what the best word is about it, but they seem uniquely overwhelming, overbearing, like there's like millions of possibilities for voicings. I always thought that. I hear my students say that to me. What do I do with all these there's so many notes on the piano. Like, just look at your piano, right? It's like, man, there's like an infinite amount of voicings. Yes, that is true. But you got to remember, you only have 10 fingers. You only have 10 fingers. So what does that mean? Well, that's going to cut your possibilities down a lot, because if you had like 20 fingers, think about how many voicings you'd have then, right? So I can only play 10 notes at a time. Am I ever playing 10 notes at a time? Almost never. Okay? Someone from Nigeria. That's awesome. So great to have a worldly audience happening right now. But I almost never play 10-finger stuff. If I do, it would probably be for more creative sounds. right? Maybe like a nice, like this is beautiful. Or let me, it sounds like a movie score, right? George is back. That's awesome. Back for more fun, yeah. So I'd never do that. I mean, that's not jazz, but if you're writing or composing. But let's get into jazz, right? So that cuts down the possibilities, again, even further. So I'm going to talk about building voicings. Voicings are used for comping. And I really want you guys to understand now that separating your comping into two groups is really important in your mind, in your approach, in your practice, in your goal setting. Okay? Separating your two styles of comping. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, do you know what the two styles of comping are? That's a very nebulous question, I know. But there's really two separate ways, and this actually holds very, 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 very true for all things for all things jazz piano. You should really kind of start to break down your categories from a hierarchy standpoint between solo piano and group. Solo piano and group. Solo piano and group. Okay, so things really start to splinter in two different directions, whether you're playing by yourself or in a band with a bass player and a drummer. By yourself or a bass player and a drummer. Lots of different skill sets on one side, lots of different skill sets on the other. Lots of different vocabulary on one side, voicings, movements, things like that. Lots of different vocabulary on the other side, right? So if you want to go faster towards a certain goal, you need to know what you want. Do you want to increase your abilities, your comping abilities, your improv, anything, really, right? Solo piano is solo piano, but your improv in a group is much different than your improv in solo piano, okay? The way that you play melodies in a group, hey, Noel, is much different in a group. Melodies in my trio stuff, right? Whoops. Ooh, gotta fix that. Right? That would be my trio style of Honeysuckle Rose, right? That's what I'd play in the trio. Okay? If I was playing solo piano, I wouldn't do that at all. I would do something completely different. I'd probably play. Right? Completely different styles. Now, the same thing holds true for comping and improv, the other two goals that we're talking about. So let's get into comping now. I'm going to talk about voicings because we utilize voicings first in comping, right? Comping is all about, hey Bruce, comping is all about mainly voicings and structuring your voicings on the piano. So let's talk about, did I say group? Let's talk about group comping first. Okay, group comping first. Now we have the melody up here. Let's see for Honeysuckle Rose. A lot of the times you're not going to want to interfere with the melody. So what's the simplest option is to comp below the melody, Okay, I call this zone 1, the low end of the piano. Now, on the low end of the piano, I'm playing rootless voicings and bass notes. Yes, I did say bass notes, right? Now, bass notes are great for a really rich, low-end substance to your sound, even octaves. Right? Like, what I'm doing here is just a rootless voicing with a bass note. The reason it sounds so good is because of the bass note. Check out how it sounds without the bass note. Right? It sounds decent still. I don't have a band with me obviously playing right now, but that added bass note to my harmony is stacking the resonance of the piano to the voicing. Now, the bass doesn't sound like a piano. The bass doesn't sound like the piano. So when I play a G on the piano and the bass player plays a G in the same exact octave, those two notes are not the same resonance. They're not the same instruments. They're not vibrating the same. They're different sounding instruments, right? So they can be played together. It's completely okay. But where it starts to get crazy and a little hairy, right, is when, right, if you're walking bass while the bass player is walking bass, that's a big no-no, okay? But definitely, you want to add low-end bass notes with your comping to mostly everything down in this low end of the piano. So let me take a tune that I have pulled up here. Did I have it pulled up? No, I didn't. Excuse me. I'm going to pull up just the real book. Let's do real book. Let's do the new real. No, let's do real book 1. I'm just going to flip through tunes. And I use this comping, low-end comping style approach for for ballads. I'll show you that in a second. But for pretty much all the approaches to my solo piano framework. Okay? I hate delays. This is bothering me. All I got is ballads here. Okay, perfect. Cherokee. This is going to be great. You know when you go see a show and there's like pause and everyone's just kind of silent and waiting for the music? I hate that. I love things to flow smoothly like water, like ice. All right. Enough of that. Here we go. So this is going to be Cherokee. Super, super popular tune, right? I'm just pulling up the music just so you can see the chord changes a little bit if you can. But essentially the chord changes are super easy. So I'm going to comp this B flat major 7 way down here in the low end of the piano. Here's middle C. My pinky in my right hand is on middle C. I'm using a rootless voicing. Right? So I'm not playing the melody. Here's the melody. I'm going to play this. Now here's my melody. I'm going to go to, here's my rootless voicing with bass note. I know you can't see these chords anymore, but I'm still comping the chords. I moved up a little bit. So I'm just comping through the chords here. Bit high here for this method. That's okay. I'm going to talk to you about some other things, but probably wouldn't go much higher than that utilizing this strategy. Again, the strategy I'm talking about, right hand rootless voicings, left hand bass notes. Right? Whoops, sorry. Okay. So that is all of essentially the strategy 1. Super, super easy. Rootless voicings, left-hand bass notes. Rootless voicings, left-hand bass. Now if I add a little time, here's what it sounds like. And again, picture a bass player. I'm just talking about group playing right now. Picture a bass player and a drummer playing with me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I switched the tempo. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stupid C. So clearly, all I'm doing here is I'm adding rhythm and a voicing structure. Rhythm and a voicing structure. Now, I'm just choosing comping rhythms. Obviously, the rhythms are a whole nother ball game. I don't want to talk about that much right now because they kind of stay consistent. They stay consistent a lot of the time. You want to have a nice combination of upbeats and downbeats. Upbeats and downbeats, leave space. There's not much to that, but essentially that's what it is right there. So, Zone 1. Let's move into Zone 2 here with this same particular type of tune. When I move into Zone 2, my Zone 2 starts to overlap middle C. Now the only difference between Zone 1 and Zone 2 is I'm adding another shell normally in my left hand, okay? And that's going to be either the 3rd and the 7th for the most part. Right, so now for the B flat major, I have 1 and 7. I've added 1 note, just 1 note. That's it, because I'm adding a little bit more structure, a little bit more harmonic resonance, because it's moving up. I can afford to add more notes. For my F minor 7, hear the difference here? I've added one note. Before I was just playing this. Now I'm adding the 7th. And again, when I go to my B flat, I'm going to add the 3rd. When I go to my E flat major, I'm going to add the 7th. So this is zone 2. In zone 2, we take zone 1 and we elevate it, right? We increase it by just one note, just one shell in our left hand. That is it. That is it. But check out how awesome this sounds. Like, let's say, again, Eternal Triangle is a great tune. Whoops. Really got to get this C fix. It just keeps sticky on me. Anyway, the bridge. Is that. So this is a beautiful tune that I love to use my zone 2 on, especially on the bridge. That's what I comp there. That's exactly what I comp there. Now, are there some more professional tricks I use? Yes, I use different rhythmic stuff, okay? But the voicing structure I'm talking about, even if you just sit on whole notes and half notes, beautifully balanced, beautiful. And again, it's the simplest theoretical tool that students can use, that I use as a professional, that all professionals use. Well, actually, I don't see a lot of, I don't see even advanced professionals that play out at gigs, like not, you know, they're playing and gigging and stuff. I really don't see the low end of the piano utilized a lot. When I studied with Eric Reed, the pianist that used to play with Wynton Marsalis, amazing pianist, you know, leader of like 20 to 30 albums and stuff like that, trios, everything. His comping was so influential to me that I really studied my comping as much as possible to learn this, because like the low end of the piano is such a great use. Gospel, church, right? Piano. Now, obviously, that was solo piano. That was a solo piano thing, right? Anyway, back to this. So our two-hand voicings, 1 and 7, with rootless voicing on top, to 1 and 3. I'll just do left hand. 1 and 7, 1 and 3, 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 1 and 7. It's just half steps. My right hand's voice leading, rootless voicing, rootless voicing, rootless voicing, rootless, rootless. Rootless. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That was all half notes. Just playing half notes. It sounds great. So zone 2, that's exactly what zone 2 is. Okay? So, beautiful. Now, there is an overlap in solo piano and comping, because when I play a tune like Eternal Triangle, this one has a melody that's moving a lot. But when I have space, for example, I'm going to comp for myself. Right? Just Friends is a classic example I use a lot. Comp. Right? So in Just Friends, if I were to use zone 2, I'd go, or this. So again, zone 2, I'm adding that shell in my left hand. Everyone clear on that? Doesn't conflict with the bass player, doesn't matter. No, as long as you're using, as long as you're not walking bass, you're not going to conflict with the bass player. Okay. I've been complimented on my comping so much because of my left hand playing bass notes, because people love the rich, lush, bottom end supportive sound that stays out of the way of the melody. And like I said, I'm not teaching you some really high echelon spices where I kind of stagger my bass notes sometimes. So I'll go. Right? Totally fine. Totally fine. Okay. I'll have a trio album coming out within the year. I'll probably have some guests on there, trumpet, stuff like that. You guys can check out my comping. Listen to how I utilize the low end of the piano. There's a great vocal accompaniment specialty course in jazz piano school, right? You can check that out as well. By the way, my live programs are starting up next week. If you guys are interested, go to jazzpianoschool.com/group, accelerator program, and my mastermind, my 9-month mastermind, 3-month accelerator program. A lot of you guys in here are actually taking it already, which is awesome. Some of you have taken it in the past, but if you are new, go check that out because they are the cream of the crop. Amazing results from the students. Zone 1 and Zone 2 we've covered. Okay, let's get into Zone 3. Zone 3. Zone 3 gets into the classic comping sound that most students know in their ear, that they hear, and that they want to be able to play. Okay? Right? A thinner, higher texture, stuff like this. Right, very high up. Things like this, again, very Red Garland-y, very Bill Evans-y, stuff like that. Okay, this is Zone 3. Now, Zone 3, again, if I have to kind of display the register here, it's about this F to this G here. We're moving past, way past middle C. We're getting up into like this higher register here. This is where a lot of advanced stuff happens. The Zone 1 and Zone 2 are much easier from a beginner intermediate standpoint to tackle because it's just rootless voicings and bass notes, or rootless voicings in the added shell in our left hand for Zone 2. Zone 3 gets into drop 2 voicings. Now, it's so funny to me. All students want drop 2 voicings. I get it. They like this beautiful, thin sound with extensions. And if I was comping in this area for an entire tune, it would sound similar to Red Garland. Like, again, Honeysuckle Rose. I'm not going to play the melody. I'm just going to comp. Drop 2 territory, exactly, Bruce says. So that was all a lot of drop 2s. I switched it up just a little bit, but 99% of what I just played for you, all drop 2s. Drop 2s with extensions. G minor 7, C7, flat 9, flat 13. Right, so G minor 7, C7, flat 9, flat 13. So I'm adding in extensions with my drop 2s, right? This is why this zone gets so difficult to master, but it's one of the zones that students go to learn right off the bat, and it's the hardest one to do. I don't recommend that, okay? If you guys start with Zone 1 and you're comping, Zone 2, you're gonna have 90% of the skill set you need to comp like a pro. I'll say that again. If you start with Zone 1 and Zone 2, you're gonna have 90% of the tools you need to comp like a pro. Okay, Zone 3 is a very small, minute situation. where you're playing in a trio, right? Where you're creating a very unique sound. Now, if I were to comp all drop twos, which I never do, like that's a very specific skill set. I mean, even Red, like when he's comping, he's moving about too. But there are times where he really stays there. It's rare that you're staying in one zone the entire time you're comping, right? So I'd really encourage you to go zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, right? Or maybe zone 1, zone 2, zone 4. I haven't even talked about that yet, but save zone 3 for last. Let me grab some water. My throat's getting a little dry here. So I'm not going to explain drop twos to you. That's a lot, okay? But that's exactly what's being used here. The other voicing that's being used in zone 3 that you're going to hear a lot is shells with maybe an upper structure. Like if I play a G7, I might play 3 and 7. And then let me see, like a E flat triad, right? Maybe an E major triad. So you can hear this bass note, right? So shells, and then an upper structure triad. That's another example of what starts to happen here. Now, this is not a drop 2 because I'm doubling the third here, right? If I wanted to make it a drop 2, I would leave out that. Okay? Zone 4. Zone 4 is going to be very easy as well. What does it take on? What quality? Rootless voicings, octaves within the key. Okay, so let me stick with Honeysuckle Rose maybe. Zone 1. Stagger step. Rootless voicing bass note. Up. Down. Sorry, where am I? I haven't taught you these passing movements, but again, I can just use zone 1. G7. 5. Zone 4. Okay, so what I'm doing here, left hand rootless voicings. Left hand rootless voicings. I'll go super slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right hand octaves, any note within the mode, any note within the scale. Another example of why you need to learn your scales and modes so that you can do stuff like this. Because if you play some notes outside the scale, it might sound like this. Super random, doesn't sound good, right? So I want to try to stick within a center thing. No problem, Fabrizio. Until next time. So that's zone 4, okay? I use all of these to comp. You know, and again, I'm still just talking about trio. I'm just talking about trio. So if I'm playing with a trio, and again, it wouldn't just be trio because I'm comping for a melody. Like someone is playing the melody, whether it's an instrument, whether it's a vocalist. I'm using all of these zones to comp all at once. Let's say we take something, let's stay with Cherokee, I guess. Again, I'll comp through this. I know I'm not going to be able to scroll the page for you, but let's see how this might sound, okay? 1. We'll go a little I don't want to take it that fast because you guys won't be able to understand what I'm doing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Zone 1. See if you can sing the melody in your head. Drop twos. Zone 2. Zone 2 still. Zone 1. Zone 2. Zone 4. Zone 1. I haven't played this piece in forever. Sorry, I just want to do a little improv there. So I'm combining all the zones together to create an improvisational comping sound, which is really what brings everything to life, right? If I imagine if I just stayed in one zone, like you're going to get bored of it, right? You're going to get sick of that texture. Our ears, music needs constant contrast. It needs constant textural change, right? Can you imagine if you just heard violins in an orchestra playing the entire time? No. That's why the melodies go from the horns sometimes to the violins to the basses, and then you have the trumpets, and then you have the bassoons, the winds, right? All these textural changes make for beautiful music. Okay. Anyone have any questions about any of that? Okay. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So let's talk about the tools you need. Super fast. Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3. What needs to be learned in order to utilize those zones effectively? What needs to be learned? What tool? What voicing? Your rootless voicings. Your rootless voicings, right? If you can play your rootless voicings, then you can utilize all 4 of those zones, okay? Let's talk about solo piano. In Zone 3, obviously, your drop 2s are a very advanced voicing, and especially with the extension movement, right? You can practice your drop 2s with just your regular rootless voicings through your circle. But eventually, to really elevate those to the highest level of professional playing, you're going to need to be able to play your drop 2s with different extensions, right? In order to get that highest level of sound out of your drop 2s, okay? Yes, Bruce said rootless voicings. Exactly, Bruce. Alan says she stay away from double notes while comping. So, Alan, good question, right? In Zone 2, you are going to double the 7. That's completely okay. I didn't talk about it today, but you can create Zone 2 drop 2s. You can turn your drop 2 zone, excuse me, you can turn, it's too many 2s. You can turn Zone 2 into drop 2s, right? So instead of this, I'm going to take out my F from my 3rd finger here, and I'm going to create a drop 2, right? So I'm dropping the F down here. So that's a 2-handed drop 2 with bass notes. This is without the bass note. These are all drop 2s. With the bass note, stupid C. It's killing me. Killing me, Smalls. Right? So it is completely okay to double the note, but there's other ways to do it as well. Doubling's great. I double all the time. I'll double 2, 3 different things. Like I might do this. I'm doubling a whole bunch of stuff, right? It's a texture. It's not like a do this or do that. It's like if you want that texture of double, a thick texture, your double is going to give you a lot of cool stuff. If you want a thinner, spread out texture, that's what you're going to not double, right? Okay. That is the trio. That's the end of my trio segment here on the live stream. I'm going to go to solo piano next. So solo piano, remember how I started off the live stream with saying It's 2 groups, 2 mental mindsets. Trio, holds true for everything, right? Trio or solo piano. And I don't just mean solo piano. I mean solo piano accompaniment is much, much different because you don't have a bass player, you don't have a drummer. You're accountable for everything. So if I was to comp through Cherokee in a solo piano manner, but like if it's just me accompanying a singer, let's say, or it's just me accompanying an instrumentalist, here's what it might sound like. We'll do it medium again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. See how all over the piano I am? I'm still all over the piano, but like I'm having to do everything. Rhythm, voicings, bass notes. I can get away comping a certain section much, much longer in a trio because I always have the bass player there. I can get away comping without as many rhythmic things happening. I can leave more space. I mean, I could totally leave space in this particular setting too. But in a trio, again, you have the support. In solo piano, everything falls on your shoulders, okay? I'm going to get into this a little bit, just a little bit, because it is so much to go over. The solo piano comping, if it's just duet, right? Or even if you're comping for yourself, playing solo piano, it's a lot, okay? It's a deep, deep rabbit hole. When you comp for yourself, I still use the same comping techniques. So let's say, again, this particular tune doesn't have much space in it. Just Friends is a good example of having lots of space. Let me see if I can pull up the chart quick enough here. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. I have to say the alphabet to. Sometimes, does anyone have to do that? They have to like say through the alphabet to be like, oh, what's the next letter in the alphabet? Maybe it's just me. Come on, Just Friends. Where are you? Well, here's another one. Anyway, it don't mean a thing. If I'm comping through this, right, for myself, if I'm playing solo piano, I'm going to look where the spaces are. Now, the spaces is where I comp for myself. I'm going to say that again. The space in tunes is where I comp for myself using the strategies I just taught you. So you see in Don't Mean a Thing, so right there on that G, when I get to that whole note, ding, 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 ding. Yep. Okay, so thank God. Scott says, yes, I do that all the time with the alphabet. I thought I was the only one, okay? But if I'm like trying to find a letter, I'm like A, B, C, D, F, G. Okay, L is, yeah, okay. On this G, I know I have to comp there. That's a great opportunity in solo piano for me to comp when melody notes are whole notes. Right? Obviously the melody is moving by pretty fast here, so I'm not doing much comping for myself. I'm just playing the melody, maybe a little stride. I don't have to play that much. I can just go. Right? And then I jump down. Right? I jump down to comp for myself in that spot. Then I go back to the melody. Right? With my accompaniment in my left hand. Now, if you went over the solo piano framework, you know kind of what I'm doing at this tempo based on the 3 strategies I taught to play through this tune. I'm doing certain strategies and methods to accompany myself, right? But in those gaps, you better know I'm jumping down to comp for myself. Now, what zone did I use to comp in this area? Zone 1. I could have used zone 2. Right? Rootless voicing in 1 and 7. So you can use any of the zones. I could use zone 4. Right? I could jump up high and play zone 4 to comp for myself. Or zone 3. Well, zone 3, again, another reason zone 3 is going to be right over top of the melody. I'd probably stay away from zone 3. I wouldn't play some sort of drop 2 voicing right over top of the melody because I want my melody to shine and stand out. Okay? So let me just choose a different tune here. See what comes up. Like, check out this tune. I really haven't played It's a Raggy Waltz much ever. It's a Dave Brubeck tune. But look at this melody. Can you guys see this? Like, it's just constant melody. Now, immediately, when I play a tune like this, this tells me I'm going to be, my right hand's going to be busy playing the melody. So my left hand has to do a lot of support. I'm not going to have much time to get strictly comping zones in that I've just taught you. Like, I'm not going to have time to jump down or comp or jump up and comp. I'm not going to have time to do that because there's so much melody. Okay, let's check out a different tune. Right? Jelly Roll. That's cool too. Jordu, right? These famous tunes here. I'm trying to find a good one. Joy Spring. Like, if I'm playing this solo piano, I really don't have much time to comp. I know here. Okay, let me get rid of the chart here. Just check it out. Whoops, what did I do? I like, there's barely any time. Like, I might do that quickly. This is Joy Spring. But even that is like it's a struggle to get that in. I probably wouldn't do that. I would just stick with the melody and simple. Yeah. Right? So I'm really not jumping down to comp because the melody's so busy. I really want to find a tune, though, that can demonstrate this. When you have, here it is, Just Friends. So you will encounter these. I don't know, for whatever reason, we went through a string of tunes that was just melody with no space, right? Just so much melody. Check out Just Friends. It's my prime go-to example for these comping strategies. You have these long whole notes tied to half notes. Whole notes tied to half notes. These are my prime areas where I'm going to go just friends, comp. I can comp in all areas, right? And do fills. I could do comping here. Comp. I'm using all the zones, right, for my comping because the melody is permitting me to do that. Does that make sense? So when you're playing solo piano, it's a completely different ball game. You're having to account for the melody. You're having to look at the melody, right, and understand where you are comping for yourself in those gaps. When you're playing with a trio, completely separate thing. You can comp and leave space at your will whenever you want because someone else is playing the melody. Now, granted, are you still trying to pick and choose spots where you're like not interfering with the melody? Yeah. But at the same time, you can either play or not play whenever you choose. It doesn't matter because you're not playing the melody. All right. Any questions? Any questions about this? Voicings don't really continue to get much more complicated besides extensions. I want to say that again. Voicings don't continue to get much more complicated besides extensions. Think about your zones. Think about the voicing structure. In zone 2, I have my rootless voicing with 1 and 7. This is a fantastic voicing. The only other more complicated thing than this would be me adding notes or other extensions. I have one free finger in my right hand now, my fourth finger. So I could shift my fingers around and maybe play like this if I wanted to, or I could do like this, So these are getting a little bit more complicated. I'm just picking and choosing extensions, but that is like, how do I explain that? Those are like, that's just not how comping operates, right? In life, it's like we tend to want the fanciest things in certain skill sets and be able to do this cool stuff. But like, think about anything you all are really, really confident in, right? That you know like the back of your hand. It's never really the small, tiny things that hold true to success. It's the rock solid fundamentals that are done consistently well through day in and day out that tend to lead towards optimal success, whatever it is. It's not about super fancy things. So I would never really make this weird voicing like over a G minor 7 chord unless I was trying to come up with some like really obscure arrangement and I wanted to shift my hands like and come like play this like out rubato piece of like okay, I understand. Students want to learn how to do this, right? I'm just like making stuff up on the spot. So I'm going G minor 7. I'm just throwing in notes from the scale with lots of random extensions. I'm not even thinking about notes anymore. I'm thinking about textures, right? So I'm just choosing textures and notes within the mode. That's it, right? But I'm not like really picking and choosing. And again, these are really small subsets of jazz. Bill Evans doesn't really do that stuff. These are like kind of intro, like even he has a system. McCoy, Chick, Herbie, like all these guys. Keith, right? Super simple stuff. And you analyze their transcriptions. It's all about like really solid fundamentals done in an expressive musical way. All right, get off my soapbox here. So to wrap up, I'm going to talk about vocal accompaniment. Yeah, the simpler I get, Scott says, the better I get at it and the better it sounds, and then extensions and fancy, etc. And then when you in the extensions and colors means so much more when you have those solid fundamentals. And when you throw one extension in, right, that you are intentional about and purposeful, it makes it really, really shine. Instead of kind of just like haphazardly throwing in a bunch of stuff, you know, it doesn't, they lose the meaning. They lose the gravity, right, of the music. When I comp for a vocalist, if you're a member of jazz piano school, and Bruce says, yeah, comping's about rhythm too and textures, right? Rhythm, good rhythm is really, really important, right? I comp with shells all the time. Now again, prime example, if I was playing duet with a singer, I might just do this. Very sparse, very simple. Right? So just comping, geez, sorry guys, with the shells is a beautiful way to do it. Now, clearly you can start to see that I'm using more rhythms. Oh boy. So sorry. This cold is clearly still here. I'm using more rhythms with my left hand, like movements, rhythms. More bass action, more movements like a double bass would play. And this is why accompanying a vocalist or an instrumentalist, just you and them, is so much more difficult because it has to be more interactive. Now, I really can't go into all this, but I call this the switch. And if you're interested in learning how to do this, there's a fantastic specialty course in Jazz Piano School called the Vocal Accompaniment Mastery Course. Okay, or if you want to learn from me how to do this, take one of my live programs, Mastermind or Accelerator program, jazzpianoschool.com/group. They start next week. I'm switching the active role in this. So when my right hand's holding, my left hand's doing something active. When my left hand's holding, my right hand's doing something active. By active, I mean like a movement, a rhythm. So check it out. I'm going to go super slowly. Switching back and forth, the active role, sometimes within one measure. This is a system I created based on my own playing, the way I comp, and that I charted out and created. You won't find this anywhere. I rarely hear people even do this. See a Saphira Charmer. So this gets very in-depth quickly, very unique, obviously. A lot of skill sets happening here. Again, solo piano in general or accompaniment of solo piano with an instrument or a vocalist is one of the hardest things to do. It's very difficult. There are easy ways to do it. Ballads, for example, if you're just playing two-hand voicing spreads or rootless voicings. If I were to play this as a ballad, I can just use zone 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. This is very beginner, but it works. I can use zone 2. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? So ballads are a great way to start to practice solo piano accompaniment with other instruments or vocalists, but just like solo piano, when you go up the framework, medium and fast get significantly harder. Okay. Guys, I'm going to call this because I clearly am struggling. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. But take it slow. Figure out what you're looking for. If your goal is to comp in a solo piano way because you want to learn solo piano, then you want to work on your zones. You want to work on your zones, right? That's usually what people want, okay? Again, don't forget to check out the live programs because they start next week, jazzpianoschool.com/group. I'll be doing another live stream Thursday. Hopefully I sound better than this. I'm sure I will. But check that out. It's going to be at 11 again, and that's going to be on improv. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'm going to go rest, or I don't even know. Jeez. But enjoy the weather if you have some nice weather around where you are. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks, Lars. See you guys Thursday, hopefully. Scott, thanks. Noel, thanks so much. And yeah, I'm sure Thursday will be a lot smoother. Take care.
Well, if you enjoyed that video lesson, definitely go ahead and subscribe to the Jazz Piano School YouTube channel because we release a new lesson video just like the one you saw every single week. And we have other content educational series called Tips, Tricks, and Transcriptions that we release every single week as well. And don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of the other amazing free education available there. And if you're looking to take some next steps on your jazz piano journey, we do have a membership available, many courses, and even live teaching programs that allow you to work with myself and my staff of Jazz Piano School educators. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. Thank you so much for watching, and happy practicing.